Oh no. Oh no. Hello and welcome back to Cozy's Little Garden and welcome back into my grow space. It's been a minute since we've filmed in here, largely because it was so full because the tomatoes got kicked to the floor. And once the tomatoes are kicked to the floor, I can't really move around in here. It's that beautiful time of year where everything is out in the garden where it belongs. And it's time for a little tour. So let's start here in the grow space. We do have a couple of big updates. And let's start here at the cauliflower and the broccoli that I planted to replace the ones that the spicy mouse took. Spicy mouse. And these are seeds that I started to plant outside. And so the rest of their little brothers and sisters made it out into the garden, and they're nowhere near as happy as this. Things are just so happy in a hydroponic garden, and these are no exception. If you remember right here, I had an old purple sprouting broccoli that was huge, and it never gave me any broccoli, and it just kept giving me more and more leaves, making me wonder if it was really a purple sprouting broccoli at all, but I don't know what else it would have been. Something was eating it and it was taking up more and more space. It is, as much as I loved the jungly feel that it gave, because it did give a jungly feel, it also didn't give me food. So, you don't give me food, you're out. So instead we have here a sun gold cherry tomato, which is very beat up. I planted out as many tomatoes as my garden could handle, and then a little bit more. And then I took all of the many leftover tomato plants that I had, and I gave them away to neighbors. But no one wanted this one. And my guess why no one wanted it is because at some point, I think some of the leaves got onto the sidewalk and got stepped on, including the leader. So the lead got squished. People who know enough about tomatoes would know, well, that's not going to keep growing from there, so there's no point in planting it. But people who know just a little bit more about tomatoes know that it already had a bunch of suckers that were starting to grow, and those are going to take over and do everything that the leader would have done. So I saved that sun gold and I plopped it in here. We'll see how it does. I don't really like the flavor of hydroponically grown tomatoes, so we'll see. And then the love of my life, my culantro, which was right here in this bucket, right here in this bucket, she is no more. She lived for many years, and there does seem to be something green down here. So, it's just also like full of little buggies. So I suspect that that's gone, and I'm going to have to replace it with something. I am going to maybe replace it with more culantro after I clean this whole thing out, because I just love having culantro. It's such a great alternative to cilantro because it doesn't bolt in 5 minutes like cilantro does. Now for over here, the peppers, still so very happy. Where are we? Yeah, okay. I do have this little tomato. I don't remember what it was called, like a container tomato that I got from the neighborhood plant sale. Their offerings this year were kind of crap. Now, let's take a minute so I can vent about the neighborhood plant sale, because usually it's pretty good. I don't think that the people who run it actually live in the neighborhood, but every year they bring in a bunch of plants and they sell them for a decent price, usually. Not as good as you would get from like a box store, but usually the plants may be a little bit nicer than those plants. This year, to be fair, I went there while they were still setting up and they hadn't gotten all the plants yet. And the people who run the thing were off getting more plants to bring to the sale. But the plants that they did have, some of them were great. Like I got a liatris, looks beautiful. Like the more unusual things, beautiful. But the veg, like the tomato, that tomato is tiny because it's a tiny tomato. It's always going to be a tiny tomato. But the tomatoes that are supposed to be bigger weren't a lot bigger than that. And pepper's not a pepper to be seen by the time I got there. And which I remind you was like right away. So they just hadn't brought the peppers out yet. I don't know how big the peppers would have been if they had peppers. So my plan was to buy peppers from them since my peppers got eaten by the spicy mouse. But what they did have out, well, they had a lot of the cucurbits out. They had like zucchini and They had zucchini and they had cucumbers, like squash, melons, that sort of thing out. But those were so small. Those, like the cucumbers, were seed leaves. They didn't have any true leaves. I don't remember if any of them really had true leaves yet, which it's fine to plant them out at that stage, but I'm not spending, what, $4 a plant for something that's got started at most a week ago. Just get a packet of seeds and stick the seeds into the ground yourself, because they're not far enough behind for the price difference. It was a little ridiculous. And also, like, not the guy who runs it, because those people weren't there yet, but like one of the people that was helping them was super rude and mansplaining. Because I mentioned that I wanted to get peppers because a spicy mouse ate my peppers. And he's all like, set a mouse trap? Like, oh my god, you're such a genius. Why did I not think of that? Like, or did you bait it with peanut butter? Like, of course I tried that. Of course I tried all the things. Like, honestly, we haven't tried a cat because my partner's allergic, but it's like, believe me, we've tried it all. Anyway, that was my vent about the plant sale. It's really unfortunate because it's one of my favorite things that happens in the neighborhood every year, and one of the few things that I get to go to as someone who is like too sick to go into stores. They're just too strongly smelling. I'd have to wear a respirator. It's a pain in the butt. As someone who doesn't get to shop in person outside of like outdoor shopping things, it's a little heartbreaking that my favorite shopping thing that's easiest for me to attend as someone who's mostly homebound is now tainted. And they just, like, I'm sure something happened. I'm sure they started things and they didn't go the way they wanted to, so they had to restart them. Or maybe, like, they wanted to save on the cost of heating, so they just didn't have their greenhouse up and running as early as they might usually do. I don't know what happened, but something happened. But, like, this is too much money to spend for seed leaves. Okay, now the last thing really to talk about in here is the lettuce. I think last time we did a video in here, I might have planted up lettuce that I had started already. And I don't know if you can tell, like they're growing, they're doing their thing. They're not, they're not growing, but oh my god, so much water everywhere. I didn't have space for all these in the hydroponic garden, so some of them just got left in their tray with the humidity dome on them and basically ignored. Like, I water them once a week when I water everything else. And they're so much happier. So now my question is, why are these so much happier, and what can I do to make these as happy as these? So the two main differences, I think, between how these guys are growing and how those guys are growing is these still had a humidity dome on them, so if I wanted to add a humidity dome to these, I think that there's not really a good way to do that for each individual plant. So the next best option might be to get some clear plastic and just to like box it in. So that's something that we can try. But the other thing that this has that these don't is that this is much closer to the light. These are under my good cheap Spider Farmer lights, which these are too, but they're much further away. So what I can do is I can try, see how this goes, and then maybe we readjust as necessary. When I replaced my shelf lights with my nice Spider Farmer lights, I got these cheapies left over, and they're cheap. I don't remember how much they cost. I think it was like a pack of 4 for like 60 or 100, or like they were cheap. And unsurprisingly, they don't give as good of a light. So I usually use like these lights because I only have 2 of the big Spider Farmers for now on these shelves. So the other shelves have these cheapy lights. I usually throw like my shade tolerant plants under this light and make sure that we have like tomatoes and stuff under the big lights. So I'm thinking that maybe the lettuce would like a little bit more light. So it is a pretty tight squeeze. I'm not sure how well this is going to work, but what I've done, because this isn't like, if I have this up against the wood over here, we still have like an inch away. So I can't just easily screw this to the wood. So what I've done, really loud thing. So what I've done is I've taken some of these hooks. Eye hooks would probably have been better, but I couldn't find any. So I took some of these hooks and I screwed them like to these 2x4s. And now we're going to just have to put all of our faith and our trust and our hopes and our dreams in the hands of zip ties. Oh no! So these have the hole, and then the hole goes all the way through here. So I can just add a zip tie. Then just add a zip tie to either side of it, and then put it over the hook. We'll see how it goes. It's so sweaty. Ugh. If you are sweaty like I am sweaty, make sure you hit that like button and the subscribe button, please and thank you. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. I have a little more cord maintenance in my future now, but that's fine. This is also kind of just an experiment. So now we've got a little bit of extra light coming in from this side. I could still put one on this side here. It's getting a little tight. We'll see how this does first. And if it seems like they're halfway to happy, then maybe we add one more over here. But I don't want to impact how easy it is to harvest out of this too much. So we'll see. We'll see if this makes our hydros happy. Then, of course, the next question is, what do I do with all these really happy lettuces? And I think I would like to be able to turn off this light. It's a little bit silly to have it up. Got a little raised bed in the backyard that currently has like one walking onion in it. And the other option, oh no, you got me. The other option is some of these aren't doing very well, and I take them out and I replace them. Which, now that I think about it, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, well, I will get to planting, and I'll see you outside. This year we've done a couple of projects that have really changed the way that the garden works. And the most recent one is the construction of this tunnel, or chicken tunnel, or as we like to call it, the chortle, the chicken portal. Because over here we have the chicken yard, which where the chickens are allowed to spend their time every day, and put a little hole in the fence to make a little tunnel. Oh, thank you, Bowie, for demonstrating. That connects to this part of the tunnel, and then they pop out on the other end. So if you're sitting on the deck, you just see like them disappear on one side of the fence and reappear on the other, and it's very cute. And so that's why it's the chortle. We have on the other side of the fence, where the chickens haven't historically been allowed, a lot of awful weeds. We've got ground elder, we've got some wild raspberries, and we've got a lot of Virginia creeper and other things that really are difficult weeds to get rid of. And I was really tired of digging them out every year and spending all that effort on something that the chickens actually love to do, which is weeding. We had all of those weeds. We had all of those weeds in the chicken yard where currently nothing is capable of growing. And the only reason why those weeds have been defeated, at least for now, is because the chickens are constantly scratching at the ground. And so I wanted a way to allow the chickens to do that without giving them free rein to our entire backyard, because I have things planted back here that I do want to keep safe from the chickens. So for now, I've given them a little area that wraps around to the other side of the serviceberry bush, and they're working on it. And they're like looking, you can see them gazing out at all the greenery just beyond their reach. But what they don't know is, like, once they complete the job of weeding this little area and scratching it up enough to kill the weeds for now, then I'm going to just readjust the fence and give them a new batch of weeds to take care of. And this is going to be a continuous process because we know these weeds, they're going to keep coming back. I'm sure if we ever didn't have chickens, the area where the chickens are now would return to its weedy state. That is the way of the nature. I don't know if all of those weeds would come back, but there would be weeds. It has a little door that we can lock on this side, which I kind of have to like dig out every time because they just kick so much stuff up and around it. And it's a little low to begin with. I need to do better landscaping around it, but I was honestly pretty done by the time it got done because it was kind of a lot of work to build this over-engineered chicken tunnel, which is super sturdy because, of course, we need to be able to walk on it. So this is one of our big innovations of this gardening season, is that we have a little chicken tunnel so that our chickens can help us take care of some of these weeds. Hey, Bowie. You want to be a little star? I need to make a berry tour one of these days, but the service berries are starting to make their little fruits. We don't get service berries until late June, early July, but it's a beautiful day when that happens. Another little upgrade that we did this year is we got a shed. Because previously we were keeping all of our chicken stuff in the garage, so every time I wanted to feed the chickens I had to find a garage door opener, but now we can keep all of that in the shed. So the chickens are getting many more treats. Very much this year has been a net positive specifically for the chickens. The other big project that happened this year that I am making the short for, I just need to like get off my butt and finish making the short, is we have this alley bed, which has previously been the home to so many awful weeds, like creeping bellflower, which I know we're never going to get rid of it. And I know that plucking it like this is not going to solve the problem because it doesn't take care of the roots. The roots. Oh, the roots. So we have a lot of nasty, nasty weeds in this bed. So I spent many hours just completely digging this area out, and my family helped me to like sift all of the remaining soil. I built this bed with the wood that I got as my Mother's Day present to build a raised bed. And so now we're turning this area, which has always just been weeds, into hopefully someday a productive growing space. This year I don't have high expectations because I put in a lot of zucchini and squash and like a little what's the melon that's a cantaloupe. I think I put in cantaloupe and squash and zucchini, and I was thinking we might not have enough sun for this. And then I realized later that I wasn't factoring in the neighbor's big tree, and we definitely don't have enough sun for this. So for this year, we'll see how it does. Last year I threw some potatoes into the weeds just to see if anything would grow in there, and I did get potatoes. So maybe next year we do potatoes. Maybe we do brassicas. Maybe we do cucumbers to see how they do. But in the meantime, it is nice just to see this as a working bed. it's much too early for this little guy to put on a flower. So I think that that's a sure sign that it is unhappy. It's unhappy and it's like, oh, I'm not going to live very long. I better start throwing out flowers. This is not a female flower, so I might just like let it stay here and hope that by the time it starts throwing out the female flowers that it's ready for it. But this little guy is not ready to make me a zucchini, that's for sure. Soon it'll be raspberry time. So the grapes are starting to grow, but we won't be able to harvest them until September, October. Soon there will be blackberries. Now, these strawberries are cheating because they spent the winter indoors. Not because strawberries need it, but because the pot needed it. I got a new blueberry this year. This is a sweetheart blueberry that should be able to handle some shade. We shall see. I had another sweetheart blueberry right here, but it got stepped on, I think. So I tried taking the bit that was left over and sticking it in some soil to see if maybe we can get anything to grow. And I'll keep an eye on this one to see if anything sprouts from the root, but it was snapped off at the base, so I don't know.
Bring me into golden sunlight. If I'm going with you, I know we'll get to the other side. Sinking in, I know this feels right. Catching a breeze, love moving through me like a wildfire. Like a wildfire.
Look at my lettuce. This lettuce is looking so good, I gotta start eating it. Yum, 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 yum. Ew, it's a little bitter. That's a lettuce that needs a dressing. Now the peas. The peas got planted a little bit too far away from the trellis and they just weren't grabbing onto it and they kept leaning that way away from the trellis. So I just tied them in for now. Once they've thoroughly latched on, then I will release the string, which I think they might be there now, but the peas have started to flower, so pretty soon we'll be, oh my God, do you see what I see? We've got peas coming. These are supposed to be snap peas, so they're not ready yet, but it's almost pea time. Ah. Also, the beans. The beans have sprouted and they have started to come up. I didn't plant any beans because we have so many volunteer beans that I don't need to plant them. I kind of just need to thin them and move them if necessary. But these are runner beans, so they will take over the trellis once the peas get scorched out. We've got a bed of walking onions over here, and this is meant to be the bed like the little ones that we eat, whereas this bed here that's really just become lots of weeds was meant to be the bed full of the mother plant where we would get the bubbles to plant in the other one, but it's not really how things are working out. Oh, looks like I've got a volunteer bean in here, and also looks like this clematis is sort of straying away. What? Are you like... Maybe I can transplant it to the other side. We've got the clematis working its way up. Pretty soon we will have flowers, which is beautiful. This goji berry is getting a little out of control. So I need over here so many tomatoes and the smallest little peppers. That's the best I could find. I don't think we're gonna get a lot of peppers, but oh my God, look at all the zinnias. So many zinnias. It's beautiful. Ooh, we've got another flower over here on this side too. Corn. I had some extra corn, so I threw them in the ground here. We'll see how they do. I'm gonna have to take this cage off sooner than the other one, so they might not make it. That's fine. But speaking of corn, I finally have corn in the corn cages. And yeah, it's looking good. It has so much more space still before I have to take the cage off. So hopefully they'll be nice and strong and they won't be immediately demolished by squirrels. One can hope. But yeah, things are growing. I have assorted brassicas over here. These shavings are an experiment, and I don't think that I like them. So now we know. And along the trellis, we've got cucumbers and some nasturtiums. Obviously some weeds, but, it is what it is. In front of our trellis, we have so much rhubarb. We have so many rhubarb plants. We've got 1, 2. We'll put a pin in this guy. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But I don't know how much you can tell on camera, but they're not the healthiest, so they should normally be pretty big and bushy by now. But I have been harvesting them pretty aggressively because they have red spot fungus on them. So from what I could see, the best way to treat that would be just to remove those leaves. The food's like, you can still eat the stalk, but like remove the leaves and throw the leaves in the trash. And I feel like I don't see as much of it as I normally would right now. So I think like it is working, but I think that some of the plants have succumbed to it. So I have way more rhubarb than I could ever need. And, I do give it away to neighbors, but I think I have more rhubarb than perhaps the neighborhood needs. So if I only go down to a couple of plants, it's fine. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the rhubarb has been limping along. This has been, I don't remember when I started dealing with this, but I've been working on it for a while. And I don't know. We'll see. At any rate, my big old wall of rhubarb is becoming a little bit less of a wall, and the weeds are popping through. So I need to like start making myself a little calendar date, mornings in the garden where I can come out and weed. But yeah, so far things are looking weedy, but also like things are growing. And for the most part, I think things are pretty happy. I would like to see more rain. That I think would make things very happy. But things are coming along. I think we're in a good position for a successful year. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are things growing for you? See you next time. Bye.
Oh.